Live from our studios in the nation's capital, your most reliable source for news, national, regional, and the rest of the world. Welcome to Kairi FM's Major News. Here's your presenter.
Good evening, I am Steve Vidal. Here are the headlines making the major news. Health Minister calls for more collaboration in the fight against inequalities against HIV/AIDS victims in Dominica. Income Tax Amendment Act 2021 to offer major tax relief to students. From the region, eruptive phase ends at La Soufriere volcano in St. Vincent. And internationally, U.S. Supreme Court hears landmark abortion case. The details to follow.
This Christmas, unlock a new digital world with 45% off a new DL3 Plus Pro smartphone from Digicel. Get it now when you buy a 30-day 25GB Prime Jumbo bundle to enjoy all your favorite Digicel apps. The best smartphone with the best apps. Enjoy a 6.2-inch screen to watch more Christmas classics in Playgo. Dual 5-megapixel camera to capture more Christmas moments. And then store it all in Billo, from blockbuster movies and chop-chopping music to streaming live sports, video chats, and so much more. Get yourself a DL3 Plus Pro for $200 or gift it to someone you love. Visit a Digicel store today.
More ways to win big this Christmas. The more you watch, listen, and stream your favorite Digicel apps, the more chances you have to win from thousands of prizes. Enter to win the grand prize of easy $15,000, a weekend for two at Cabrit's Resort and Spa Kempinski, or a $1,500 supermarket shopping spree. Simply listen to your favorite Christmas carols in D-Music, watch movies in Playgo, or connect with friends in Beep to win unlimited music, live sports, movies, and more for a year. We're all winners with guaranteed win days. Shake to win in the My Digicel app today. Digicel, better together this Christmas.
Are you looking for good eggs? I mean quality fresh eggs straight from the farm? Well, we have exactly what you're looking for, no matter the quantity. We've got the right amount. Visit us at Prince City downstairs Kairi FM on Independence Street for your fresh farm eggs, or call telephone 448-7331, 448-7330, or 448-8752, and we'll get you your fresh farm eggs.
I'm not exaggerating. Boiling with excitement.
Welcome back and good evening, and welcome to our listeners tuned in on Variety Radio in Antigua, Barbuda. Now for the details of the evening news. Dominica's Health Minister, Dr. Irvin McIntyre, has issued a call for collaboration in dealing with HIV/AIDS, another deadly pandemic alongside the coronavirus. Dr. McIntyre says this year's theme stresses that curbing the spread of many illnesses take community efforts. He says we must also acknowledge universally we are living in an ever-changing environment, and this is evident in how the COVID-19 pandemic has altered lives drastically in Dominica for the last 28 months. The health minister says despite the unforeseen changes in these times, there are health challenges that still exist in other aspects of our health. He was addressing the nation on World AIDS Day, observed Wednesday, December 1, under the theme, End Inequalities, End AIDS.
Prevention takes community effort. Health authorities across the globe urge us all to work together to eliminate AIDS by 2030. Our aim to end this HIV and AIDS pandemic is dependent not solely on our health systems, but also on you, the citizens. You have a responsibility to treat others in a way that empowers them, a responsibility to get involved, and your involvement and attitude will impact the process of healthcare. Impact us as we look to adopt a more community-centered model of care. Great emphasis is being placed on ending stigma and discrimination and upscaling advocacy, thus eradicating the inequalities that persist as it relates to healthcare for clients and patients who are infected with HIV and AIDS.
Dr. McIntyre has again reiterated his call to individuals, organizations, businesses, and institutions and institutions to join in the fight to stamp out these inequalities that seem to exist against the HIV/AIDS victims so that they can continue to enjoy a good quality of life.
The National HIV and AIDS Response Program, together with the Ministry of Health, Wellness and New Health Investment, and our collaborating partners at civil society level, want to reach out and empathize with individuals and families affected in one way or the other by this illness. The government of Dominica will continue to lend the necessary support to make their quality of life as fulfilling as possible. COVID-19 has irreversibly changed our lives, but the risk for infections and other diseases has not changed. It persists. Let us be resolute and continue protecting ourselves and making responsible decisions as it relates to our sexual health and sexual behavior. Let us lend support to the persons who have been victimized but are also still very productive in our society. Let us end inequalities based on persons' health condition. Let us end AIDS and continue to be a prosperous nation. We again challenge you to be part of the community that ends inequalities and ends AIDS in observance of this day.
Dominica's Health Minister Dr. Irvin McIntyre. A new vertical hydraulic baler will boost the capacity of the Dominica Solid Waste Management Corporation to compact waste at the landfill in Focole. That is especially cardboard, plastic and cans. The European Union funded the purchase of the equipment, which was procured at 20,000 East Caribbean dollars. The EU and the Office of the National Authorizing Office handed over the equipment at a ceremony at the landfill site on Wednesday.
I am pleased to be here this morning to hand over this important piece of equipment to the Solid Waste Management Corporation. The EU has always provided support in terms of solid waste management. Actually, in the early 2000s, support was provided to the corporation in terms of technical capacity, as well as in terms of the actual landfill facility right here.
And that was Dominica's National Authorizing Officer, Colin Roberts. Cassani Laville, Minister of Public Works, delivered the bill's proposals to Parliament this morning. The debate on the Public Procurement and Disposal of Public Property Act is still ongoing at the House of Assembly in 2020. We can tell you that the act was drafted with the help of the Caribbean Development Bank and the World Bank. Minister for Public Works Cassani Laville presented the measures of the bill this morning. The key of this bill, according to him, is to modernize public procurement with the principles of good governance.
It has been designed to ensure economy, increased efficiency, value for money, competition, broad participation by bidders, fair and equitable treatment of bidders, and to further strengthen. The bill contains the specific procedural rules which govern how public procurement is to be conducted. It provides 6 procurement methods which could be applied for the award of public contracts, consistent with what exists internationally, namely open competitive bidding, limited competitive bidding, request for quotations, single source procurement, request for proposals method, as well as electronic reverse auction procurement method when government implements electronic government procurement. Mr. Speaker, notwithstanding the various procurement methods, we have included several provisions to ensure the protection of local goods and services, including small contractors.
And that was Public Works Minister Cassani Laville. Mr. Laville says that the bill also allows for an appeal process for aggrieved parties and prescribes the rules for disposal of public property. He continues by stating that what the bill has been designed for.
It has been designed to ensure economy, increased efficiency, value for money, competition, broad participation by bidders, fair and equitable treatment of bidders, and to further strengthen the principles of transparency, integrity, and accountability to promote economically, environmentally, and socially sustainable procurement and to promote the long-term industrial development of Dominica.
Dominica's Minister for Public Works, Kasani Laville. Opposition leader Lennox Linton told the House of Assembly that his party supports a fiscal responsibility framework for Dominica. Registering his support for the adoption of a fiscal responsibility framework at the House, Mr. Linton said the parliamentary opposition has proposed in the past measures for strengthening fiscal responsibility and sustainability.
We support the Fiscal Responsibility Framework 2021 because, as you know, we have been lonely in talking about fiscal responsibility in this parliament year after year from 2015. When I came here in 2015 for the first time and responded to the budget for the first time, I recognized we needed some attention to the fiscal affairs of Dominica, the revenue expenditure performance, and the policies we had in place for ensuring that the fiscal business of the country, the fiscal affairs of the country was properly taken care of. And Mr. Speaker, with your permission, I just want to remind this Honorable House what we said here on the 20th of July in 2017, more than 4 years ago. And as usual, whenever we come with sensible, working, practical suggestions for the improvement of public finances in Dominica, all we hear is ridicule and scorn from the other side. But we seem to be getting closer together now on this question of fiscal responsibility.
Mr. Linton told the House that periodic budget performance reviews would allow Parliament to note the trend of overall collection and spending for assessment by Cabinet.
We cannot continue this situation of passing a budget and hearing nothing about it until next year's budget or until 6 months after the budget is passed to come with supplementary appropriations and so on. We need to have a more dynamic, active situation than that helps the administration to make better decisions within the ambit of fiscal responsibility.
Opposition leader Lennox Linton. An Income Tax Amendment Act 2021 has been passed at Parliament that will provide significant benefits to individuals renting residential properties, borrowers of student loans, and individuals with home and family health insurance. Education Minister Octavia Alfred presented the measures in the bill for an act to amend the income tax last evening in Parliament. Alfred said the tax refund initiatives were not for one group of people, but all Dominicans.
The measures are as follows. 1. Removal of income tax on properties rented by individuals for residential purpose. This measure is to take effect from income tax year 2021, this current income year. 2. Students or benefactors of students who have contracted to pay or are paying student loans or the interest on these loans will from income year 2022 be able to deduct all of the interest paid on the student's loan each year. Therefore, the payer will no longer be limited to $5,000 if he or she actually paid more than $5,000 in a given year.
With respect to the third measure for deductions on premiums paid to insured individuals, Mrs. Alfred says this will take effect next year.
2 new allowance income tax deductions are being introduced, namely a deduction to a maximum of $8,000 for premiums paid to insured individual homes and a deduction in respect of individual or family health insurance premium paid. These 2 new deductions will be allowed from income year 2022. Mr. Speaker, the government is the one proposing these measures, knowing that thousands of Dominicans, including the middle class, are looking forward to the enactment of these measures.
In related news, Member of Parliament for the Roseau Central constituency, Melissa Poppins-Skerrit, says the new amendment to the Income Tax Act will help young professionals still servicing student loans to get out of debt quickly.
Mr. Speaker, a new deduction for interest on student loans is a brilliant incentive aimed at helping our young professionals to get out of debt quickly. A student loan, Mr. Speaker, can be compared to a heavy mortgage, a lifetime debt incurring interest over years. Mr. Speaker, some people age well into their 60s and they're still bogged down by student loans. But Mr. Speaker, these savings are like an early Christmas gift to the people of Dominica.
Mrs. Skerrit referred to the new measures as the biggest tax cut to young persons on their student loans.
Mr. Speaker, this new tax deduction means more money in the pockets of our youth and more money in the pockets of their parents. This is certainly more money affording them the ability to invest in their future and less time being tied down to a student loan. Mr. Speaker, I have always urged the young people to think outside the box. Consider ways to create an additional source of income. I've always said to them that at any given time, aim to always have multiple sources of income. And I believe that this is the perfect opportunity to invest in a new business venture to generate additional disposable income, or maybe they want to build a new home.
Parliamentary representative for the Roseau Central constituency, Melissa Skerrit. Destination Marketing Manager Kimberly King says that the Discover Dominic Authority will place a special focus on the Trinidad and Tobago market. The new DDA marketing manager told Kairi News DDA is interested in attracting visitors from that southern Caribbean country. She says the first leg of that campaign has already been initiated.
Well, in terms of our source market, the Commonwealth Caribbean has been one of our key source markets as well. So Trinidad and Tobago makes up part of that. So yes, we are looking to Trinidad and Tobago. We've actually initiated the first leg of that campaign, and we are in the mode of revision in terms of where we at, what we were able to achieve, and really looking to go into phase 2 later on into the first Q1 of 2022.
She says the first leg of that campaign has already been started. According to her, DDA has already partnered with the state-owned airline of Trinidad and Tobago, Caribbean Airlines, to capitalize on that market.
We have initiated a collaborative effort with Caribbean Airlines where there's actually a direct flight from Trinidad and Tobago to Dominica. And in terms of really looking at the region and in terms of where each market is and whom we can better hone in on, a few months ago, before me coming on board, this was identified as a market for focus. So as I said, the flight has been initiated. We want to make sure that outbound, inbound is full, at least at some capacity. So yes, we are going to be focusing on that market, Trinidad and Tobago.
And that was the Destination Marketing Manager, Kimberly King of DDA. Scientists attached to the University of the West Indies Seismic Research Center have ended their tour of duty in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Activity at the volcano has declined steadily since the last explosive event on April 22, 2021, and all currently available monitoring data points to an end in eruptive activity. However, residual steaming at the summit and lahars, mudslides in the valleys surrounding the volcano will continue to be observed for some time. The on-island scientific staff rotation ends an almost year-long occupation of the Belmont University. Arguments before the U.S. Supreme Court have begun in the country's most important abortion case, that's in the United States. The case, Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization, concerns a Mississippi law that bans abortions after 15 weeks of pregnancy. The court has never been allowed before to ban abortion before a fetus can survive outside the womb at around 24 weeks. The ruling, expected in June 2022, could have nationwide consequences. Millions of women may lose access to abortion. Lawyers defending the Mississippi law have explicitly asked the courts to overturn two landmark decisions regarding the abortion. Julie Rickelman of the Center for Reproductive Rights told the court Mississippi's ban on abortion 2 months before viability is flatly unconstitutional under decades of precedent. If the court rules that the Mississippi law does not place an undue burden on women who are seeking abortions before the fetal viability, at least 21 states are expected to bring in more restrictive abortion laws. You've just heard the news locally, regionally, and internationally. Do join us again tomorrow morning at 6:30 for the first newscast of the day. On behalf of the entire news and production team and our sponsors, thanks for joining us.